haven't signed a card. I represent the landowners who executed the initial amendment CPA 2018-c. Also, Suntech and the Horsey family have the adjacent 1,000 acres next to our 3,400 acres. I gave a package previously to submit our reasons for denying this request, and I've given them to the staff, or to the clerk also, for the public records. I just want to state very strongly that we hope you deny this. This is a true taking of our land, and it's not appropriate to be done. The original speaker said the exact same thing, but he was applying it to his own 10 acres. Nobody's extending reclaimed water out there. That's not part of our original plan at all, nor we were approached by utilities to initiate all of this stuff just because they wanted central water and sewer out there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Becky Ash, followed by Sarah Lewis.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I hope the Elmo is on, and then I have, if I could pass these to you, pass down, if I can walk up, sneak through here. Thank you very much. Becky Ayesh, I have signed a speaker's card. As I want to reiterate what Mr. Space said, this is about a process. This is about a process that the county has promulgated and adopted and has been on the books. And that process says, and we have the chapter here and in your paper, that if you want to initiate a comprehensive plan amendment, you need no fewer than 200 registered voters, each of whom resides, owns real property, or owns or operates a business within the unincorporated area of Sarasota County, and they may request the county to initiate a comprehensive plan amendment at any time for the processing as a county-initiated amendment subject to provisions 94-87(9)(d). Not only did the community club meet these requirements, but we had meetings prior to that to hear what people had to say before we put together the plan, or the proposed amendment. As you know, I've met with each one of you at the very beginning and said, this is what we want to do. These are the reasons why we want to do it. Today, we're here not to argue necessarily the merits of our reasoning, although we think it's perfect. But we're here to say that we have followed the process that is outlined in your regulations, and therefore we should not be denied to have our comprehensive plan amendment processed as a publicly initiated amendment because we met all the criteria. Now, in addition to meeting the criteria, we have also submitted more than 500 registered voters' signatures to you since we initiated that. And today, I'm going to enter 40 more registered voters' signatures into the record. And I believe that there may be a couple of other speakers that are going to enter even more signatures. So from the very beginning, we exceeded the 20 signatures. What has changed, and I think this is the most salient part of the conversation, although this really isn't part of the requirements, but we did, and we met with your staff to go over this as well. The community club had a plan that was accepted by the Board of County Commissioners. And this was Resolution 2007-042, and we thought that that meant acceptance and adoptance were the same. And so we moved forward thinking that this was going to be followed, and that was at a maximum 1 unit per 5 acres. And the person after me will continue on with what we have to say.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis, followed by Mr. Hickok.
Lake Park Estates Hamlets approved in 2015, 400 houses instead of the 50 to 150 homes as marketed in the 2050 plan. 600 acres of mosquito breeding stormwater ponds instead of 600 acres of agriculture as depicted in the 2015 literature. The form is more in keeping with that of a typical suburban subdivision with plus or minus 10,000 square feet lots, and nothing inherently about the form indicated affordability or diversity. Application CPA-2019-c, a request to triple the density incentive by doubling density allowed within the hamlet land and designation. Changes to the underpinnings of the 2050 plan by the reduction in the demands of the TDRs. There is a reduction demand for TDRs as a basis for the assertion that the hamlet land use designation on the subject 6,000 plus or minus acres is no longer needed for the 2050 plan to function. The reduction in the TDR demand is a change to the unpending condition on which the 2050 plan was based. If there is less demand needed for TDRs in order for the 2050 plan to function, then there does not appear to be critical need for that mechanism to create as many of them. Therefore, this is a change to the underpinning condition to which the 2050 plan was responding when it was developed. Physical neutrality, the fact that these lands are also not developable in the hamlet land use without the financial assistance afforded through a utility extension agreement with the county is a further indication that this subject plus or minus 6,000 acres are a likely candidate for reducing the ability to produce TDRs. The need for the utility extension agreement in order to develop the hamlet form on the subjected land raises questions related to the main principle of the 2050 plan that development be physically neutral to the county and its residents.
Thank you. Mr. Hickok? And Michael Hutchinson?
My name is Howard Hickok. I'm a citizen of Sarasota County. I reside in the Old Miakka area. I have filled out a form and signed it. Urban sprawl, a series of hamlets having a total of 6,000 acres with 2,400 homes would be considered sprawl when looking at it with the typical concerns raised to residential development sprawling eastward. This was from a letter that William Spaeth wrote, CPA 2019-c, April 30th, in 2019 DCR letter. You, the board, have the opportunity to review the 2050 plan. This was adopted by a totally different board of commissioners, and you deserve the right to review these decisions and based on what we know today. Therefore, we are requesting that the Sarasota Board of County Commissioners approve the processing of CPA 2019-c as a county-initiated amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Michael Hutchinson? Susan Schulte?
Hello, I'm Mike Hutchinson. I signed the card. I'm the president of the Burn Creek Homeowners Association, which is just down the street from this area. Our homeowners, not the board, voted to support this. We're a development that was done in the 80s out there. Development that has succeeded, pretty much built out. I mean, we have 4 or 5 undeveloped lots. They're all 5 and 10 acres. If you want to come out, take a look at our neighborhood, you'll find it's beautiful, it's nice. And in fact, some of the homes were built very, very reasonable. My wife was legal secretary at the time. She bought the land and built a small home on it. And since then has prospered. All right? So usually the first thought is, well, 5 and 10 acres has got to be expensive. No, it does not have to. You put a 1,700, 1,500 square foot home on a property, you can do reasonably well. I brought additional signed petitions, all right? So some of you know I work with the Republican Party of Sarasota. I've been volunteering for 8 to 10 years with them. So that's where I concentrated on getting my signatures, and I will turn those in. gotten a whole lot more, but as some of you know, Jack sort of canceled the last 2 meetings, so I didn't have the opportunity to address anybody. The first meeting in was June when I and my wife went around and got signatures from REC members. We got almost a 90% signature rate. This is an issue that resonates with the Republican Party. All right? All right, a little bit lower. Okay, so this is to give you an idea of some of the people that have signed the petition, starting with ones I thought were more important. Eric Robinson, Neil McFarland, Judy Brady, Pam Gavette, Lourdes Ramirez, my wife and I. So you can see that there's quite a long list of not just North County. Look at Dale DeYoung, you'll see it South County as well. I talked at the South County Republican Club, and they are concerned as well. So they're, even though it's North County, they are concerned about development all over the county, and any part that can help, they're willing to go along. So thank you very much for your time, and on to the next one and turn in my paperwork.
Thank you. Susan? And Jody John.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Nice to see you again. Susan Shetley Gum. I'm a resident of the eastern area. In fact, the existence of the opportunity to have a rural lifestyle in relative proximity to a more developed, urbanized area was why I moved here 25 years ago, to go into the county attorney's office and provide assistance on revenue mechanisms for funding infrastructure and services. Very briefly, I want to hit on just a couple of things. Some of them were things I spoke with you each individually about. The process the county code has, this isn't the only county that has that kind of a process. I did just a very brief research and found counties from Miami-Dade, very urbanized county, to Marion County, a more rural type county, that provide similar processes for residents and voters to bring an issue in a focused way to the elected officials. I was asked the other day, why didn't we show up when 2050 was adopted, and why didn't we show up a couple of years ago when things were re-examined? In fact, our community opposed hamlets all the way through this entire process. We may not have had as many people show up at a specific instance, but there was widespread concern on the community's part about the hamlet development and intensifying the development. So we were there, we just didn't get our message all the way through. So we're here using a more focused mechanism to ask you to look at these issues again. The hamlets aren't working. I personally don't think that the answer is to continue to increase development to the point that it requires an investment of at least $5.2 million by the county to provide water and sewer out at the end of Fruitville Road. I think there have got to be better solutions. This process provides an opportunity to re-examine the hamlet issue in the context of the rural area. You have Lake Park Estates that's already been developed, already been approved. They can't develop because apparently, economically, they can't afford to even extend the water and sewer lines to their development, even with an oversizing agreement that the county had with them in 2015. So this year, the county came back and signed an agreement that potentially commits the county to install the full-size water and sewer lines on its own dime. That's a significant change in policy from decades of practice in this county. We hope that you will allow staff to analyze and process this amendment so that these issues can be analyzed in more detail. We don't know what the answer is going to be specifically, but we would really like the county to take the opportunity to look at this issue in the context of existing rural residents and voters who are very concerned about these issues. You will not be implicating anyone's property rights by a decision made today that would only occur possibly at some point in the future. Thank you. I hope you'll allow us to have this process.
Thank you. Jody John. Doug Fradley.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jody John, and I signed a speaker card. Thank you. I'm going to speak more from a little bit of a personal level. I'm a longtime Sarasota County resident. Matter of fact, I went to elementary school right across the street when Central was there before the post office. However, for the last 30 plus years, I've lived in Floral Park until last year when we purchased a lovely 5-acre parcel in Old Miakka with the intent of getting back to the roots. So I used to work with Jane and Matt years ago. I opened the Office of Sustainability for Sarasota County government under the board's leadership then. So I want to be able to continue to pursue a rural lifestyle. 30 years in Laurel Park was enough. We grow organic mushrooms, we have sheep, we have beehives, our dogs can run and play, we have lots of chickens. If I thought about it, I brought you each a dozen, but eggs, not chickens. And no, we don't throw tomatoes or eggs. But I moved east because I worked for years along with my colleagues and many people on helping put the 2050 plan together. And it is unique, and once we allow more sprawl to spread east, we're not going to be able to regain it back. So I just want to, at the personal level, keep it simple. Please process this request so we can take advantage of the opportunity to make sure that we are saving green space for animal habitat, for rural lifestyles. It's part of our history, and I hope we can continue to make it part of our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Doug Fradley, and then Gene Blackburn.
Okay, my name is Doug Fradley. I'm a resident on East Sarasota. Thanks for giving me a moment. We're all the way in the end of Sarasota County. Our backyard is Manatee County. Verna Road happens to be the county line, so once you pass Verna, you're in Manatee County. So you can't go any further. My main concern is younger families. I've lived out there 30 years and we've been blessed, and you can't take away the good years. Younger families that want to take their kids out on a country ride. Let's go for a ride out in the country, look at the cows and horses. There ain't no more. Once you cross the county line, you're in Manatee again. So Verna Road is a country road. I live in Rainbow Ranches, and it's a dirt road, just one of the few left. Lorraine Road was recently constructed. Yay, we got a shortcut to the university. I went down one time, I'll never go again. Lorraine Road is not a country road. Lorraine Road is, I don't know what it is. It's got big berms on the side and fancy houses. The new subdivision on the end of Fruitville's got $1 million homes going up there. This is right before you get to Verna. That's not country anymore. So it's like we really want to have a place to take the country ride on a Sunday. Darn, it's, kids name they know what a cow looks like. My neighbors are miniature horses on one side, we've got little goats on the other side. And it's just simple, kids playing outside and stuff. So I'm just saying, we consider, let's not lose land. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Gene Blackburn and Gary Gall.
I don't look like Gene Blackburn, I'm her husband. She's here, I filled out a card too. My name is Stephen Schaefer. And we live together out on Miakka Road. And what we're asking for here today is just for you guys to have the staff look into what makes more sense. Whether the county has to pay the $5 million, although that estimate was a while back, $5 million to bring the water and sewer out there. It's probably going to be closer to 10 or 15. To increase what I consider urban sprawl in that area, or whether or not you would consider zoning that is more consistent with what is zoned in that area now, or just south of Fruitville Road. That's a huge area in there that has houses built on 5 or 10 acre lots. And people are very happy with that kind of living, and they moved out there for the chickens and goats and other things that you're not going to have in a hamlet. What you're going to have is an extension of the city in here. And so, but all we're asking for is for you to allow the staff to look at the advantages and disadvantages of making a change to where the zoning would say 5 acres per house, rather than allowing not only a doubling of that density because of the hamlet, but the proposal that I'm seeing and hearing about is asking for a quadrupling of that density in that area. And that's just not appropriate in my mind. And I'd ask you to let staff look at that, and let your staff that's trained and has experience in these areas decide and give a report to you about what makes more sense. So we're asking for. Thank you.
Gene, you want to talk now? You came up and, will you speak later, or?
No,
No, okay.
turn it over to him.
All right, thanks.
I did a good job for them.
Yeah. Hope you're taking her out to dinner tonight.
She's taking me out.
Oh, now you're really in trouble. Gary Dahl.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Yes, I am Gary Dahl. I did sign a speaker's card. I think most importantly, rather than get into all the emotion of what this means to people that live out there, today is about this doggone amendment. You are elected officials by us. This is America, represented, by the people, for the people, of the people. We all know it's time to look at 2050 again. We have taken from the rules of 2050 a way to make an amendment, a way to ask you, it's time to look at this again. There's not a person I talk to in the county or out of the county that says this growth is out of control. It's 2050. It's time to look at it again. You need to. You need to process this. Let the public vote on this. You got 5 votes representing how many people? I don't know how many people want this to go forward. Take another look. It's time to take a look at this 2050. You lose nothing today if you put this process forward. Let the public decide. Let the planning commission figure it out. Then come back to us again. We'll come back to you again. But today is about you saying, yes, it's time to take a look again. It's as simple as that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Alexander Coe. And Glenn Lupus.
Alexander Cole had to leave. She'll be coming back. She said it was uncontrolled. I don't know how you handle that.
Glenna Blomquist, I've signed a speaker's card, and I'm just here to support a neighborhood that I love, support my neighbors, and ask you to go ahead and process this request. Thank you.
Thank you. Paige Farr, and then David Johnson.
Hi, my name is Paige Farr. I've signed the speaker's card, and I live on Rawls Road, right across from the fire station in Old Miakka. I've been in Sarasota off and on since the 1950s, and I've been in Old Miakka over 20 years. And before I bought my property there, I lived on 118 acres, so 10 acres to me is not that big. So I moved there because I have horses, I have cattle, and I don't want to have a house 20 feet away from me. And we love our lifestyle out there. We maintain our wells, our septic systems. If you drive in the area, you'll see that everything is really well maintained, and we just like to keep it that way. We sort of feel like we are David against Goliath here.